Howdy y'all, I hope you guys are all doing well, I hope you guys are safe, and I hope you guys are healthy. Today, I'm bringing you a video that basically shows you one of the most iconic people's favorite shoe. It's going to be Kurt Cobain of Nirvana's, one of his favorite shoes that he actually wore back in the day. I don't have his exact pair, but I do have a pair from the same brand, the same model, and I'm very excited to show it off to you guys, as well as talk about Kurt Cobain's, I guess, general influence on street style in general. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Josh, and I like talking about clothes and personal style. And if that's your thing, feel free to stick around for the video, and I'm super happy to have you. And without further ado, here we go. So this is a shoe that I'm sure, honestly, most of you have actually never seen before. It's definitely something that's kind of niche that you never really would have known, and it's from a company that you've probably never heard of, or maybe. Interestingly enough, this company doesn't really have a large presence in the US, which is kind of crazy to me, but their shoe company is called Bata. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Bata. Got my true size, a size 9. The model is called the Hot Shot, but originally it was actually called the Wilson, all the way back in 1977 when they released this model. I believe that's the case. The shoe company is extremely old. They were actually founded in 1894, which is insane. They've been shoemakers for ages. It started in the Czech Republic and now has a headquarters in, I believe, Switzerland. At least from my research, that's where it's led me to believe. But they don't, I'm not really sure why they don't have a larger presence within the US. I assume it's because there is so much competition for American companies within the US that they decide to basically gear their market towards elsewhere around the world. But I am aware of a couple of places, I believe in Malaysia and in Asia in general, that sell Bata shoes. I was able to get these, and the main reason why I got these is because I'm a really big fan of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. I think that their music is great. I really love rock music in general, and Nirvana really is just one of those bands that you just can't deny their influence, whether that be on style, the music industry, and it really just kind of Kurt Cobain himself was that person who kind of laid the forefront of what it is to be kind of this rebellious teenagery attitude. And I mean, you know, for better or for worse, Kurt Cobain is influential and iconic in his own way. But enough of me talking, let me go ahead and start talking about the shoes. Let me show you. Super cool. I will also put pictures up of Kurt Cobain wearing them if I can find them, but really, it's not that special, if I'm honest with you. It is basically comparable to a Converse All-Star. There's not much going on. It is significantly wider than a Converse All-Star. They are, and that I actually like a lot. It makes for a more comfortable shoe compared to the Converse. The cushioning in here actually is pretty good. I got the specific one that I saw in the pictures of Kurt Cobain wearing. I believe he has the black and yellow ones, but yeah. Not a lot of stuff to go in it as well. I mean, it has a yellow outsole, it has just basic construction of a shoe, it has a rubber toe cap. Really not too much sticks out for me. And I got these as a gift, so I won't be able to tell you the price that I got them at. But yeah, not too many things that really stand out about the shoe itself, but it is definitely one of those things that I have it for the history, if anything. I know this was a really short review of the shoes, but let's move on to what I really wanted to talk about, and that's Kurt Cobain's influence on street style and how he basically changed the game as far as the way we dress. First off, excuse me if I look off into this direction. I have my notes here to kind of help me out, to kind of guide me. Yeah. So Kurt Cobain, I mean, really, if you don't know who he is, I mean, honestly, I'd be surprised, because Kurt Cobain is probably one of the most recognizable faces of the 90s. I mean, there's really just absolutely nothing. I'm trying to think of something that was in the 90s that was more iconic to a youth subculture than Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. And I'm really drawing blanks, because other than sports like Michael Jordan and Allen Iverson and other people that were really big in the 90s, as far as music goes, Kurt Cobain really had to be one of the biggest. He didn't create grunge, and I'm very much well aware of that. He did not create grunge, but he definitely was the figurehead and the largest grunge artist, I would say, ever. Definitely, yeah, definitely ever. He was the figurehead of an entire subculture of people that valued challenging authority, that valued challenging norms, that really captured people in the 90s, especially youth. They're from Seattle, Washington, which is really only fitting. Their I guess, other bands that were notable at the time were Pearl Jam and other people who were really kind of like, the Seattle grunge scene was huge in the 90s. Seattle came out with some of the best grunge artists. Well, maybe not best, it's kind of subjective, but more so, most successful grunge artists usually came from the Pacific Northwest. So he had this attitude about him that it was just purely, I don't care. And even when he hit celebrity status, he still kept that I don't care attitude, which really kind of we characterize as a trait of like maybe a rebellious teenager. And that's kind of the embodiment of him. He was that dude who acted like the rebellious teenager, but got old and it didn't leave his attitude, which is super cool to some people. He consistently challenged what is normal. He pushed boundaries and unapologetically shoved things into the public eye that was seen as a little too niche, a little too inappropriate for like mainstream media, which is why a lot of people really love his influence. And it is really cool to just kind of think that he was one of the people that just did things and did not care how people reacted. I mean, back in the 90s, he performed in drag, and at the time that's like completely unheard of. He performed in a dress, and that was like crazy to some people. Honestly, some people, especially the older generation at the time, hated him and thought that he was a danger to their youth, and really actually did pose some sort of threat to them, which I think is honestly hilarious. He popularized things such as thrifting. I know thrifting existed for a very long time, but knowing a celebrity actually thrifts actually got some people to do it, and he wore clothes from thrift stores that he very openly said he got them from thrift stores. And it was really just mind-blowing to see someone with so much money just go out there and buy essentially charity clothes. He popularized distressed clothing. Again, I know it existed beforehand, but Kurt Cobain is such a big influence on the popularity of distressed clothing. He used clothing that was not used in its intended way, like, for example, pajama shirts. He wore them on stage, he performed in them, and he just, cause it's comfortable. He popularized mohair sweaters, oversized clothes that fit wrong, that are ill-fitting in a traditional sense, and even down to wearing flannels is iconic of Kurt Cobain. Quite literally, I'd be hard-pressed to find anything that Kurt Cobain wore or like similarly wore, and it's become like an entire look. You can look like a grungy person and people will be like, you got a real Kurt Cobain look going to you. And that in itself is insane. So he went on eventually to inspire many streetwear brands that like we all hold near and dear to our hearts, like Undercover, Number 9, Black Means, other brands that really kind of take punk and grunge as an inspiration behind their entire brands, essentially. The funny thing is that he, at least as far as I know, did not really care for fashion. He didn't really care about anything, really. It didn't seem like it, at least. And he seemed he obviously seemed like a very troubled man, but people just gravitated towards the way he carried himself. It was just his aura that people really absorbed and just could not get enough of at the time, and still today. He has undoubtedly made a gigantic impact on youth culture in general and street style for generations to come. Whether you love him or you hate him, you might find him overrated, or the flip side of that, you might find him rightfully credited for his accomplishments. He is a beacon and representation of angsty youth culture, challenging norms wherever he could, and unrelentingly spoke out against the music industry as a whole and brought forth political issues that he thought needed to be brought to the forefront of the news, of really wherever, and he did not care what the reactions were. He pushed what he thought was right. And I thought that was really, really interesting to see, because not a lot of people like to press norms. Not a lot of people like to really push the, in a sense, he really used his platform to bring light to situations and issues that a lot of people wouldn't face, which I think is very relevant today. I'm not trying to make you like Kurt Cobain. I mean, I like him, but I simply want to shine a light on the overall cultural impact of this iconic man, and giving credit where credit is due. It is impossible to deny that Kurt Cobain during his career has really just changed things for people. And all the way up until 2020 today, people still look at him as an icon, whether that be a fashion icon, a music icon, maybe a political person. You know, you just can't deny his influence. And I tend to really absolutely love a lot about him. I love the way he sung, I love his music, I love the way that he carried himself, and really just respect to the person that my inspiration used to come from. But really, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys are at least a little bit more informed, if not just maybe a conversation topic. So drop a comment down in the comments below. I would love to speak to you guys about this. But yeah, like and subscribe if you see fit. Really, you do you. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out. It means the world to me. And until the next video, I will catch you guys in the next one.